always go all in. Have you ever noticed how almost everyone says they want something extraordinary, yet most people quietly keep one foot on the brake? Not because they're lazy, because staying halfway committed feels safer than finding out what they're truly capable of. Here's the strange part: your biggest obstacle usually isn't failure, it's leaving yourself an escape route. And modern neuroscience suggests that the brain behaves very differently when it believes quitting is still an option. Most people think going all in is about courage. It's actually about commitment, changing the way your brain allocates attention. Psychologists have long studied something called cognitive dissonance, the discomfort you feel when your actions don't match your beliefs. When you've only partially committed, your mind spends enormous energy justifying why you're holding back. Maybe the timing isn't right. I'll wait until I know more. I don't want to risk too much. Those thoughts feel rational, but they're often your brain protecting you from uncertainty rather than leading you toward growth. Researchers studying decision-making at universities like Stanford have found that unresolved choices quietly consume mental resources. The mind keeps revisiting unfinished decisions, almost like dozens of browser tabs left open. Every backup plan, every just in case, demands attention that could have been invested into getting better. In other words, hesitation has a hidden energy cost. History offers an unexpected example. When Antarctic explorer Ernest Shackleton prepared expeditions, survival depended less on talent than on absolute commitment to the next decision. Once conditions changed, constantly second-guessing every move could become more dangerous than making an imperfect choice. Progress often belonged to those who adapted completely, rather than those who kept mentally living in yesterday's plan. Your brain works in surprisingly similar ways. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning and focus, has limited bandwidth. Every unresolved possibility competes for those resources. That's why people often feel mentally exhausted before they've done much work. They're not tired from action. They're tired from internal negotiation. Should I continue? Should I quit? Should I try something else? Should I wait? That invisible conversation drains far more energy than people realize. Now, here's where biology becomes fascinating. Deep inside your brain sits a network called the reticular activating system. Think of it as a filter deciding what deserves your attention. Every second, millions of pieces of information surround you, yet you consciously notice only a tiny fraction. The moment you fully commit to something, that filter changes. Suddenly, opportunities, patterns, skills, and connections that were always there begin standing out. It's not that the world changed. Your attention did. Athletes often describe this as seeing the game differently. Entrepreneurs suddenly recognize market problems everywhere. Musicians hear details in songs other people miss. Commitment reshapes perception. Recent neuroscience continues to show that focused repetition strengthens neural pathways through neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself based on repeated experience. Every deliberate repetition tells the brain, this matters. Eventually, effort becomes efficiency. Not because the work became easier, because your brain became better at performing it. But here's the mistake many people make. They confuse going all in with working all day. Those aren't the same thing. You can work 16 distracted hours while protecting yourself emotionally from failure. Or you can spend 3 deeply intentional hours fully engaged. Your brain doesn't reward busyness nearly as much as meaningful attention. Behavioral economists have observed another fascinating pattern. Humans naturally avoid losses more strongly than they pursue gains. Losing $100 feels emotionally stronger than finding $100 feels rewarding. This tendency, called loss aversion, quietly shapes careers, relationships, health, and dreams. You don't avoid going all in because success isn't attractive. You avoid it because uncertainty feels expensive. But here's the paradox. Playing small also has a cost. It's simply delayed. Years later, many people don't regret failing. They regret discovering how much of themselves they never tested. There's another reason commitment feels uncomfortable. Your identity resists changing. Psychologists describe identity as a prediction machine. Your brain constantly asks, who am I? Then it searches for evidence supporting that answer. If you've always seen yourself as inconsistent, your mind notices every missed workout. If you begin seeing yourself as someone who finishes difficult things, your attention shifts toward evidence supporting that new identity. Identity isn't built by declarations. It's built by repeated proof. Every completed promise becomes another vote for the person you're becoming. Interestingly, researchers studying elite performers have found they often share one overlooked habit. They remove unnecessary decisions. They don't wake up asking whether they'll train. They've already decided. That frees mental energy for execution instead of negotiation. Imagine two climbers standing at the base of a mountain. One keeps checking easier trails, wondering if another path might appear. The other studies the route, accepts that it will be difficult, and starts climbing. Neither knows exactly what waits ahead. But only one has directed every mental resource toward moving upward. That's what going all in really means. Not blind obsession, not reckless risk. It means ending the exhausting debate between the life you imagine and the life you're actually building. And if faith enters the picture, the principle becomes even deeper. Throughout Scripture, divided hearts are often described as unstable. Not because God demands perfection, but because wholehearted commitment transforms the person making it. The greatest change rarely begins when circumstances improve. It begins when your commitment becomes stronger than your excuses. Maybe that's why the most important decision you'll ever make isn't choosing the perfect opportunity. It's choosing the one thing worthy of your full attention. Because the moment you stop keeping one foot pointed toward retreat, every step forward finally belongs to the person you're becoming.